And if anybody joins in later, we can obviously we can catch them up. So for tonight, I'll first fair warn, I got a shot in my arm today, so my arm's a little stiff. So if you see me kind of flinch every now, it's because lifting it here kind of hurts. So I've obviously luckily, I always get it in my right arm because I'm left-handed. But just if I start to kind of make a face or anything, you know why. It's a little sore. So I am a child. That's pretty much normal for me, is I will respond with my face going, ow, that hurt. So, all right. Anyway, so for tonight's class, we are going to work on food. I'm going to fair warn everyone again. You will be hungry by the end of class if you've not eaten or are eating. I tend to get very hungry by the time we finish because I usually wait till afterwards to eat. So just letting you guys know now, if you're getting hungry, I promise, bear with it. It happens most of the time, especially with me. I'll start to kind of zone out and I start to think about nice dinner and food. And then I have to kind of bring myself back and be like, wait, no, we still have class. So, all right. So the first sign I'm going to show you guys is the sign for food, which is what I did. And it's food. Food. And you want to make sure you at least tap twice. Food. And the reason for that is because one tap is eat. So you have eat, food. And you'll notice that with a couple of other actions and stuff is that they'll do like 2 taps for the actual object and then 1 tap for the verb per se. So that's kind of a thing we'll kind of see later on, but I just like to point it out now. All right, then the first one we're going to do is, I have them in categories somewhat. So the first one we're going to do is fruit. So the sign for fruit is you're going to make an F. You're going to put it at the corner of your mouth. And you're going to go fruit. Fruit. This is also, I always add this one because it's so similar. Ketchup is ketchup. It's pretty much the same thing, by kind of rubbing in a circle. Ketchup. That's not like the full, like everyone uses this sign for ketchup. It's kind of more regional. So down here in the South, and especially in Alabama, we use ketchup. So I just like to tell people because, you know, that in my mind is like a very popular condiment. We use that a lot. So ketchup. All right. And that one, I know it's totally not a fruit related thing. I mean, technically tomatoes are fruit, but I just always say that with the fruit sign because they're so similar. Okay. The next one we have is apple. So apple is going to be kind of our X. You're going to have the kind of the middle part on the side of your mouth, and you go apple. 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 Yep. If you were going to say red or green apples, you would add the color sign. And we have not given this out yet. We have a video with the colors in them. So that way you already have the video ready to go. We'll probably try to send it out with this class one. Sometimes we'll forget. We'll do it right at the first start of the class, the actual first meeting. And then sometimes we don't get it out till the end because it just kind of varies. So I'll show you guys red and green apples but you will also have the colors later. So the sign for red is 1 point for you and go red. So red apple. And then green is going to be that G. You're going to turn it kind of this way now, and then you shake it. Green. So then you have green apple. All right. So then our next fruit is orange. So orange is going to be orange. It's like you're kind of squeezed. Like I always imagine I'm holding an orange in front of my face and I'm squeezing it. Don't ask me why that's my imagination with it, but that is what it is. So orange. This is also for the color orange as well. So that's nice. It's the same thing. And then we have strawberry. So strawberry is going to be your thumb, and you're going to go strawberry. Strawberry. And I luckily have my nails painted, so you guys can actually see my nails to help kind of make a difference. Usually I try to do that and then I always forget. So strawberry. Then we have grapes. So grapes, again, that same thing, that same concept I was saying with, because we technically call them red grapes. I mean, at least that's what I did. I don't know if that's what, like, I don't know if you guys are like, no, we always had them as purple, but as a kid, I always said red grapes. So you do kind of that same thing, the red grapes. Probably would want to say purple, which is the P, and you shake it, purple. Might make more sense, you know, but I'm so accustomed to always saying red grapes. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna say red. So grapes is gonna have your non-dominant hand kind of open like this. Your dominant's gonna go on top and go grapes. And the image is basically like grapes on a vine. You know, you have a whole one like bunch, and then there's just grapes everywhere. Grapes. So again, this is one you'd have more kind of relaxed, but you can't see it, and you just tap, tap, tap. Ew, that is a weird, having it this high is like not comfortable. Usually it's more outward. So then we have banana. Banana is super easy. You can have a pointer finger, you cannot, it's okay. And you just go banana. So easy. I looked at that's like one of my favorite fruits. And as I was learning, I was like, I need to memorize my favorites. And then they did that. I was like, you know what? I don't even have to memorize. I know that because that's how I would act out trying to get it anyways. So then we have peach. So peach is going to be peach. And the sense with this one is like peach fuzz, which I don't know. I think I love that as much as I'm like, no, we don't want to ever acknowledge peach fuzz. I'm like, no, that's actually really cute. So peach. Then we have tomato. So tomato technically is two signs put into one. And so what you do is you do the sign for red, and then you do the sign for like slice, like cutting. And you kind of like, it's not a full circle, it's kind of a flat circle. And your pointer finger and you cut, 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 cut. So it's red slice. Red slices. I know. I'm not a big tomato fan, so I was like, you know what, that's totally fine. But like, I know some people would be like, that's my favorite, and it doesn't even have its own sign. So I'm just like, that's okay. It doesn't bother me. Okay, now we're gonna go back and we're gonna kind of start back from our food signs and come up. I will say, you guys are more than welcome to tell me any other fruits you guys can think of. I only do like a certain group, and then we'll do vegetables and then actual different types of like meals per se. And then we'll have a time where you can add any other fruits, vegetables that I missed that you want to know as well. So you will have a chance to ask me, I promise. Not all are going to have signs though. Fair warning. I know I said that a lot. I'm sorry. I heard it myself. I was like, that's the third time I've said this tonight. Anyways, food. Food. And then our eat for one time. Then we had fruit. And then we had our ketchup. You were so ready. You're like, apple's next. But yes, you're right. Apple. And then we have orange. Strawberry. Then we have grapes. Then we have banana. Then we have peach. And then tomato. Red slice. Perfect. All right, awesome. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our vegetables. So for the sign for vegetable itself is going to be that V, vegetable. It's basically like we did with the F, but now with the V, vegetable. The first one I have is corn. Corn there's like two different ways I've seen them. The biggest one, the main one I see is corn. Like like how you have a corn on the cob and you're just corn. Another one is corn. It's like you start corn, like the pointer. Yeah, corn. This one easily can get kind of confusing because I always think of toothbrush, like because brushing is like this. So I'm always like, wait, are you trying to brush your teeth or are you talking about corn? So I tend to go corn. Then we have my favorite, absolute favorite, and it's potato. So potato is going to be non-dominant, it's a fist. dominant is going to be like those two X's, and you go potato. Potato. The reason this is my favorite is not the sign, it's the food. I'm obsessed with potatoes. I always say if I have one thing I could only ever eat on an island, it's potatoes. Because you can make them about 20 different ways and it will taste different. And that's like my big little thing. So very short, but I had to add it here. I say it every time. If you were going to say sweet potatoes, you would sign the word for sweet, which is sweet, sweet potatoes. This is also used for chips as well, like potato chips. If you were going to try to show a difference, like let's say you're at a, I'm trying to think, let's say you're at like a big cookout, you know, and you have actual mashed potatoes, you have potatoes themselves, you have potato chips, and you wanted to actually say what was different. Thing for potato chips is add with finger spelled chips. It's short, it's simple. That's how you can get a point. I see you. You're ready to go that smooth finger spelling. And then for mashed potatoes, it's mashed, like it's almost like, yeah, mashed potatoes. And then just for like regular potatoes, like you would just do potatoes. So that's kind of the different ways you can sign it, per se with that. Usually with like, oh no, I'm starting to go down. We gotta wait. We gotta stay on the vegetables. I'm ready to go down on all different types of ways you can cook potatoes. We cannot go there yet. That's later, I promise. So let's go to the next actual vegetable is cabbage / lettuce. And that is, you have a kind of like an open hand and the palm is gonna just gently bop you in the head. And that is like head of lettuce. So, you know, and like the layers always kind of, you know, like when you open up a lettuce, it kind of is like that. It's that. I know, I was shocked when I saw it too. I was like, that just doesn't look like nice. That just doesn't look nice. And like, yeah, no, it's lettuce. I was like, okay. So then we have carrot. So carrot is carrot. Like how you would think, like when you're eating a carrot, you know, you crunch and it just kind of makes that loud bite. Carrot. Then we have pickle. I know pickles like vegetable-ish, but pickles, because everyone likes pickles but me. I'm not a pickle person. I'm sorry. So pickles is going to be a P. You're going to have your middle finger on your the corner of your mouth again, and you go pickle. And most of the time when you make this, you're going to make that. I felt something in between my nails. I was like, what is that? Probably food. You're going to make that like sour looking face, like pickles. I always tend to make a really a big stink face, like, because I'm just not a pickle person. I've tried. And so I just make a face every time I'm talking about pickles. I'm like making that big old face. The kids think it's funny. So I'm like, we'll keep going. Then what we have, let's see. So that's all my vegetables we have. A lot of vegetables are finger spelled. Like for example, broccoli. Broccoli would be finger spelled. I know that's a word to spell too. It's like, I mean, trying to imagine, like even my hand can't even spell it. So a lot of times you get to that point where you're like broccoli. And then I have seen some people do this for broccoli. Like they'll spell it and then they'll do this. This is like champ, like you're a champion. I know they're trying to go with like you know, how it sprouts out almost like a tree champ. But I just visually always see a champ, like champion. So it doesn't work for me. I always do broccoli. I finger spell it. So yeah. All right. The next thing I have is actually it's like 4 is descriptions of like basically sour, sweet, hot, and cold. So for sour is going to be with your pointer finger here, and you're going to go with that pursed lip again. Sour. I always think like you're taking a bite out of a lemon, you're just like, oh, sour, because that's a fruit we didn't do. Lemon. Oh, y'all love lemon because lemon is pretty much the same thing right here. And you go lemon, but still that sour face, lemon. Can't believe that's not on the top. I'll put it there later. Then what we had earlier that I showed you guys was sweet. Sweet. This is how you would say like, oh, she's really sweet. Or if you were to say like sweet tea, which we'll get to drink. So that's like our next one. But you would have it for both, kind of saying like that cake's really sweet. she is really sweet, those types is sweet. Then we have hot. So hot is going to have kind of an open hand. You're going to start facing you and you go hot, hot. I always think about almost like it's so hot, you know, when you see those cartoons, they take a bite of something and just like flames and steam is just coming right out of their mouth. Hot, hot, hot. Mm-hmm. And then cold. So cold's going to go cold, cold. Mm-hmm. And these are also ones that can be used like if you're saying like I'm cold or I'm hot, like it's really hot in here, you can do hot as well. Then we have frozen. I always add frozen with cold because that's another thing that people will say is like they will use it almost like they're saying, you know how we say it's like ice, like my hot dog, it's like ice, it's so cold. So they will say, you know, it's frozen, and frozen's going to be your hands kind of open like this and you go frozen. You pull them back and you freeze, like your fingers are coming. I'll turn sideways a little. Frozen, frozen. Mm-hmm. I always think about when you get really cold, you know, your fingers start to kind of curl. You're just like, oh, I'm really cold. That kind of motion, frozen. Okay, so here comes the fun stuff. This is like, yeah, I can't even describe them because I put them under just this general umbrella. So the first one I have is pizza. Pizza has two signs that I've seen. The first one is pizza. It's almost like you're holding a slice and you're putting it to your mouth. Yep, pizza. The other one is you have two Z's and you go ZZ, pizza. Mm-hmm. I learned this one more so in high school. Like I did this one often. And then I'm college and then internship and then now school is it's this. Everyone's like, no. I mean, I had kids who were angry with me for doing this. They're like, no, it's pizza. They can be very, very stubborn on their ways. So I was like, okay, fine, we'll switch. So both are still right. It's just, you know, some kids are like, when they're very, you know, they're like, that's the one I know. That is it. That there's no difference for them. That was kind of their moment. I was like, all right, we're not going to argue on that. So pizza. Then we have salad. So salad is going to be kind of open hands again, and you're going to go salad. So I always think like tossing a salad, you know, when you have a tossed salad and you do that kind of motion, salad. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then we have hamburger. So hamburger is going to be hamburger. It's like you're making the patties. Mm-hmm. Then we have cheeseburger. So cheeseburger is going to be basically burger, but with the sign cheese for it. So cheese is non-dominant sideways, dominant is like getting that palm is kind of touching, and you go cheese. Mm-hmm. So cheese burger. Mm-hmm. Then we have fish. So fish is going to be fish. It's like I always try to figure out how to describe it. It's like you're trying, it's like it's moving, like you're almost trying to act out a fish. I can't describe it. I've tried every class I've tried. I feel like I've never described it right. It's like just boop, 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 fish. Mm-hmm. And that's like for any type of fish. If you're trying to get really specific, like halibut, tilapia, you would finger spell those. So they don't really have their own different one. Most of the time, if it's not a big, like, oh, it needs to be like, I need to be specific, fish is like accept. Then we have spaghetti. So spaghetti is also the same sign for pasta. I know you would hope there's a difference, but they're the same thing, which is two pinkies, and you're gonna go spiraling. Yeah, spaghetti, pasta. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. Sorry, I keep looking at my list, making sure my phone keeps wanting to shut off. That's why I'm like quickly tapping. So our spaghetti or pasta. If you were trying to say a difference, again, finger spelling is, I know I say that a lot. Finger spelling is really helpful and really kind of key in my opinion with learning ASL, because if you forget a sign for something or you're really wanting to make sure they understand what you're trying to say, finger spelling can help you. It can kind of be a support for you. I know I still, even now, I'll be talking and having a conversation, and the sign just leaves me. It's like when a word leaves me, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is that sign? And I'll just fingerspell it. And my coworkers or whoever I'm working with, they will know. Most of the time they know, unless I have to slow down my fingerspelling because I'll go too fast. And they'll either give me the sign back or we just continue on with the conversation. So that's kind of one of the things I love about with ASL. That's a little different than, Spanish or French, is because with them, if you forget the word for something, if you forget the word for apple, you have to try to figure out how to describe it in using Spanish or almost acting it out. And I always imagine that. And I'm like, ooh, I would have a hard time. But in ASL, I can just go, the fruit, apple, and they'll know, oh, apple. They'll either tell me or they'll be like, yeah, I know what you mean. And we'll keep going. So that's just a little thing I like to say about ASL. That's like a little bit my favorite reason, one of my favorite reasons why, but also, there's like 20 million. So anyways, back onto our food. All right. So then the next one I have is meat. So the sign for meat is going to be sideways. And it's almost like it's like you almost have like the hook on meat in like a butcher shop. So meat. And you don't have to have your elbows so out. You can just kind of relax. I just get really dramatic when I'm trying to show you guys. So this is for any type of meat. If you wanted to be specific, like if it was cow, pig, you do the signs for those, which I will show you guys. I know this is like Miss Katie's favorite part. I remember when I told her this, she was like, oh, you do not. I was like, yeah. So the sign for pig is the back of your hand's going to go under your chin and you go pig, pig, pig. That's also for like, if you're talking about like ham, like meat, ham kind of deal. Then for cow, it's cow, so 2 Y's. Yes, the horns. You can do one. One is used often too. I tend to use just one. Both work. It's just one's not going full away. It's just kind of not being lazy, but being a little more chill, I guess. So you would do cow, meat, like trying to think of what is that word called? Oh, it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna not worry about it. I'm just gonna keep going. But yeah, thankfully for hamburgers, you just say hamburgers. All right, then we have cookie, because we're on our desserts, and then we'll have breakfast foods. So cookie is going to be, there's 2 ways. One is cookie, where it's kind of like, This is also can be used for cupcake or cake. So I tend to use this one just for cake and cupcake because to me, it visually makes more sense to me. And then for cookie, the one I use is cookie. It's like you're holding a cookie and eating it. But both can be used, cookie. I just tend to kind of make this one cupcake more. So, I mean, it's up to you guys. And if you're trying to decipher, like make it separate, like, okay, I actually have cookies and I have cupcakes, that's when you would have that fingerspell again come in, especially for cake. We'll fingerspell. Then we have pie. So pie is going to be palm up and you go pie. And like, it's like you're cutting out a triangle piece. Pie. Okay. And there was something I was here it is. I was like, where is it? Ice cream. So ice cream, super simple. Ice cream. Oh yeah. And if you were going to say, I don't know if you guys remember from last class, our chocolate ice cream. So chocolate, or C, and then ice cream. If you were going to say vanilla ice cream, you would do the same thing you did for chocolate, but now with a V, vanilla. Vanilla ice cream. All right. Well, now what happened here? Chicken got moved down to the desserts for some reason. That's why I'm looking at it. I'm like, whoa. All right. So we'll go to chicken. I know that's not a dessert. I promise I do. It just moved itself down for some reason. So the sign for chicken is chicken. This is also the sign for bird. Yeah. So the thing with ASL is that when you're having a conversation, context clues are like extremely helpful. And that's what helps you know when someone's talking about eating chicken and not talking about like a pet bird. Most of the time with conversations, you know, if you're saying, what do you have for lunch today? Or, you know, what do you want to eat? And if they say chicken, you know, they're not really meaning like bird. Excuse me. Most of the time they're talking about actual like chicken or chicken fingers, you know, those kinds of things. So, or, you know, I'd be like, I'm petting, I guess you could pet a chicken. That's too. But yeah, sorry, I'm like I'm going in a corner, but basically you have those context clues that'll help you know which one they're talking about. Okay, so now we're on to drinks. All right, so the sign for drink is drink. First one I have is water. So water is going to be a W. Your pointer finger is going to go to the corner of your mouth, water. And you tap it, water. This is also the sign for any type of water. So if like you're talking about going and seeing the water, like I saw some water, or if it's like raining, not really the sign for rain, but if you see water outside, water. Then we have milk. So milk is milk. You just squeeze it, milk. Yes, exactly. It is like a cow. I saw you mouth that and I was like, that is exactly it. Then we have soda. So soda is going to be, I'm going to kind of set myself up a little higher. You're going to have your non-dominant in a fist. Your dominant is going to have the middle finger inside first. And then you go soda. You can pull it out. Sorry, I'm going too fast. Pulling it out and then you slam back down. Soda. It's supposed to kind of make that motion of almost like when you open up a soda can, you know, and I don't get the slam down, I guess, to keep the fizziness from coming out. So soda. Yeah, I know that one's just kind of an interesting one. And that's just kind of for whole soda of itself. Oh, you know what? That's so right. Soda pop. Why is that taking me so many years to actually make sense of that? Okay, you know what? Thank you. Yes, soda pop. That makes so much sense. Oh, I'm gonna have to that's gonna stick with me for the rest of the night. Thank you. Oh yeah. So for if you're gonna talk about types of soda, like if you're talking about Coca-Cola or Sprite, you would finger spell those. And that's kind of, again, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, our soda pop, I'm gonna have that now. All right, and then we have coffee. So coffee is gonna be two fists on top of each other. And you're going to have your top fist, which is your dominant, should be your dominant, go in a circle on top. Coffee. And you want to make sure you're not doing it sideways. You want it on top. And then you don't want to tap it because if you tap it, that's make. So coffee, I make coffee. So very similar. And then for tea. So tea is going to be, you have your little cup. I tend to close mine. Opens, no, it's fine if you have it open too. And you're going to go tea. I always want to dip it because I don't drink tea, but my mom does. And I've always made, I've learned growing up how to make her tea. And I'm one of those that dips all the time. So I kept wanting to do that when I would sign it. This is vote. So do not be dipping. Stirring is the way you should go. If you were going to say like sweet tea, that's when you add that sweet tea. All right. And then I had one more. No, I did not. Okay. So for the drinks. So that's all I have for drinks. I was going to give you guys breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then breakfast foods. I always forget breakfast foods. Okay. So the sign for breakfast. Usually most people do morning dinner, morning eat. So the sign for morning eat. I have seen some people do breakfast. It's a B, breakfast, and it comes to like the corner of the mouth, breakfast. I see that at school. I use that with my students because they know that means breakfast. But I remember learning like, no, morning food is probably more accurate. But depending on the area, you know, the group of people you're with, it kind of changes. Then we have lunch. So lunch is an L, lunch. And you have it on your chin, lunch. And then dinner is going to be the same thing with a D, dinner. So lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Then, oh, snack. Sorry, they're all coming at me all of a sudden in my mind. I'm just like, they're coming up. So snack is going to be, you kind of have like your two fingers, snack, and you flick them up. Snack. Snack. Yep. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, because we were going a little fast. I know that. But I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to ask any different types of foods you guys can think of that you would like to know the sign for, or if they have a sign. I'll kind of open this up to you guys. You can type it or unmute. Either one works. Oh my goodness. Okay, so unfortunately for I forgot breakfast food again. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I did it again. I keep trying to remember breakfast food. This is like the third or fourth class that I keep not adding breakfast food. But so for cucumber, you fingerspell cucumber. I know pickles got it, but cucumbers doesn't. I'm like, I mean, they're the same thing, but that's okay. Like, I was like, I don't like either, so it doesn't bother me. I'm never going to be fingerspelling it. So for bread, there is a sign for bread, and it is bread. You're going to have your non-dominant sideways, and you're going to it's like the slices. Bread. That's for any type of bread, like sandwich bread, or like if you were going to say, because I always like to think, because I like a lot of different types of bread. So I'm very big on, for if you're saying rolls, usually it's like that bread and then you fingerspell rolls. For challah, I tend to just fingerspell challah. If you're talking about like sweet bread or like honey bread, I tend to have I'll make honey, I'll make white honey bread, whatever it's called. I know don't know the name. But I always will do honey. So the sign for honey is going to be, it's your H, and you go honey in the circle. Honey. I don't know why I keep sticking my thumb up, but I do. I do it even when I'm at school. Honey. So honey bread or sweet bread. Okay. Pancake with breakfast food. Not going to forget it. Don't let me forget it. If I try to move on, say breakfast foods, I'll remember again. So pancake is going to be pancake. It's the same sign as cook. And then we have waffle. Waffle is waffle. Waffle. It tends to be more down because this is like jail. So waffle. Yeah, I know. You'll notice that there's some signs that are so similar, but they're very different too. And I'm like, how do we get there? But we're there. Waffle. Then we have bacon. So bacon is going to be two H's again. You're going to start at the middle and you're going to go bacon. And it's like the bumps and the ridges. Bacon. Then we have eggs. So eggs is going to be, again, the two H's, eggs. Like when you crack an egg, eggs. Cereal is the same sign for soup, which I can't believe I also didn't say. See, there's just so many different types of food signs, and they hit me as I'm coming through the class. And it's cereal, soup or cereal. And then what else? There's something else at breakfast that I was thinking of. So we already did our bread, like our toast. And then we did our bacon, our eggs. I tend to fingerspell biscuit. Or I'll do bread and then I'll make that motion like bread, kind of motion. Some signs I tend to, some words, not signs, some words I tend to kind of describe and almost kind of act out. And that way, since they don't have their own sign, but I might have students who can't fully understand when I fingerspell biscuit, that they're like, what does that mean? So I'll either use pictures or I will kind of act it out for them. Let's see. Are there any other breakfast foods or even just foods you guys can think of? So I'm trying to think of some right now. I have one, peas, like peas and beans. So the beans is going to be, what you do is you go beans. Beans. Or peas. Yeah, because like they're both kind of, not both, but both. They're in a pod. Beans. If you're going to talk about like green peas, you would go green peas. Peanut butter, that's a good one. So peanut butter is going to be peanut and then butter added together. So it's two signs. So peanut is peanut. And I was always like, I was told you flick your actual teeth. I'm like, I don't think you have to. I always was like, why am I doing that? Like, that's kind of gross. I'm putting my hands in my mouth. So I just kind of make that motion. Peanut, peanut, butter, butter. So peanut butter. And if you were going to say jelly, I've not seen a sign for jelly. I tend to fingerspell jelly, but I can also go really fast, you know, so I'll go peanut butter, jelly, then sandwich. I never told you guys sandwich. I'm sorry. So sandwich is going to be sandwich. It's like kind of two bent hand sandwich. Sandwich. I cannot believe I forgot that. I usually, I'm gonna have to refix my whole list because it should be with hamburger. But anyways, okay. Any other signs you guys can think of? Any types of foods you guys are curious if it has a sign or yeah. Hot dog. I'm gonna have to fix my whole list because that reminded me of like two other ones. So hot dog. So hot dog is going to be, you're gonna have your hand in a C, hot dog. Hot dog. This is also like kind of what we use for like corn dog too. I tend to fingerspell corn and then dog, hot dog. Then you are typing away. I see it. I'm so ready. I'm gonna have like a list of words ready for me. I just see her hands right here and I'm like, oh goodness. The one it reminded me of was taco. So taco is gonna be the same thing as hot dog, but now taco. With all of it, because like the layers, taco. So for allergy, that's a good one. Okay, so allergy is also the same sign for like opposite. And yeah. So what it is I'm gonna try to, I always kind of sign it kind of wonky, and I mean this through Zoom, is you start with your two pointer fingers here, and then you go allergy, like allergy. You pull it away, allergy. So if you were going to ask someone, are you allergic? You'd be like, you allergic? And I usually would say food first. And the reason for that is they might be kind of confused if you're saying like, you know, like opposite, what? Like what, the opposite of outside, inside, you know, they might look at you a little trying to catch on. So I would say like, you know, food allergies have, or you like have, which I realize I haven't shown have, like food allergies have, and that kind of motion. So since when you said nurse, I was like, she's going to need to know how to ask that question. But yes, allergies. All right, let's see. Are there any other foods that we did not discuss? I'm gonna be real mad at myself when I realize there's more, because there's always so many more, and some I know, some I don't. Let's see. Are there any others that you guys can think of? Oh, excuse me, I had a big old hiccup. Because if not, if you guys want, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to decide. I'm usually let a lot of groups decide. I'm trying to be very understanding. What we could do is we can move on to verbs and like some actual actions and like that kind of thing. Would you guys want to do that? Or would you guys prefer to like continue practicing like food signs? What would you all prefer? Verbs or food? I'll let it be. I mean, if any of that works for y'all, I can tell you guys, I don't know. Because one of them is reviewing and practicing, and the other one is adding more signs to y'all's little sign vocabulary list. So do you guys want to go through some actions? Verbs, I tend to think they're a little fun. He's especially going to love them because we're going to do some sports. So we'll do that. Like we have like 15 minutes left. There's not that many that we have. So the first action verb I'm going to show you guys is walk. So the sign for walk is you're going to have two B's and you're going to go walk. And I'm lifting my shoulders again, really dramatic, but you guys are more chill. Walk. Walk. And then run is going to be, and this is like the action of actually like I'm running somewhere. So it's not run, because run technically has like a ton of different meanings. You know, like I ran for office, I was running late. Those would have its own sign, like a different one. I'm talking about, oh, I went for a run, like I was running yesterday. And that is gonna have two L's. Your dominant is going to hook on to your non-dominant thumb, and you go run. 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 It's a very weird one. That's why I had to slow down and kind of show you how I do it. So run. Then we have jump. So jump is going to be what you would think. Jump. Jump. For dance, you're going to go dance. If you were going to have like a dance party, because that's like, you know, one, and it's like dance party. It's when you have two. Yeah. Then we have sit. That's one of my students' vocabulary words. That's why I kind of had a little giggle to myself. So the sign for sit is going to be two fingers. Sit. You like put them on top of each other. Sit. This is another sign that if you do it twice, that means chair. Once means sit. So chair, sit. For stand, stand. So you start laying down, stand. Stand. For fall, fall, like fall, fall. Basically, these are your legs, and you're just kind of taking a tumble, fall, fall. Or you can, I tend to go forward, but then I started realizing that looks like I'm falling off a cliff. And so that's why I'm kind of trying to keep it on the ground. So it doesn't, especially if I'm telling stories, because then they visually look at me going, I fell really far. No, I didn't. No, I just tripped. So, all right. Now we're going to go on to sports, like action verbs. So like really, not really verbs then, huh? No, it's not. We're going to do sports real quick. I'm sorry. I added that in. I said it was verbs. It's not really verbs, you know, but it's close enough. So the sign for sports is going to be two thumbs, and you go sports. Sorry, I'm going too fast. Like it's basically, yeah, sports. And then, so we'll start with baseball. So baseball is going to be baseball with the bat. Then we have football, which is football. So you have like open hands, football. I always think about, you know, you have them kind of when they're running towards each other, they kind of clash together, football. And then we have wrestling, because wrestling is pretty much the same thing. It's wrestling. So you go back and forth, wrestling. Then we have soccer. So soccer is going to have your non-dominant up. Dominant is going to kick. Soccer. Soccer. This is also the sign for kick. So soccer, kick. Then we have basketball. So basketball is going to be the three thing. You're going to make threes, and you're going to go basketball. 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 It's literally, it's like that motion of making a whoosh, like showing, like throwing in a basketball. Then we have volleyball, which is volleyball or volleyball, like flicking your fingers up, volleyball or volleyball. I tend to see more this, but I learned this. It shows how different things can be just from going from one school to a different school to an actual children's school. So, then we have what other sports are there? Track. So track is going to be T's, and you go track. It's the same thing as run, but now with just T's. Track. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other sports and I'm forgetting. Yep, I knew. There we go. So tennis would be like tennis, you know, with the racket. tennis. Golf is the same thing. I can't really do it, but you guys, yeah, you guys get the pictures. You're doing the golf motion of golf. The sign for game, like an actual game, is game. It's like a game, game. If you're going to challenge, it's challenge. Like it's one like big, yeah. Like I want to challenge. We have a challenge, then game. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other sports there are. These are kind of our very basic, our simple basic ones. So are you all good with that? Okay. Now what we're gonna do is I have a few more, and then I promise I'm gonna stop because I've given you guys so many signs tonight. I know it's a lot. So we're going to do a few more verbs that I realized since I wanted to go ahead with sports for some reason. But so the next verbs, there we go. That's the word. The next verbs are the sign for right. So the sign for right is right. Right. This is also the sign for pencil. Also the sign for pen. They're kind of the same. If you were talking about a pen or a pencil, pen, pencil. So fingerspell again. Right. The sign for draw, excuse me, is going to be your hand is sideways, non-dominant, and then your dominant is going to have its pinky up, and you go draw, draw. This is also the sign for art. So art, draw. If you were talking about paint, like painting, you would do paint. Paint. All right. And then, oh, why does it keep leaving me? The verbs keep leaving me. Sorry, I'm trying to think. Okay. Can and then get. So can is two fists and you go can. 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 If you were gonna say you can't, like can't, you would do two, like your pointer fingers and you go can't. 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 You could technically do not, which is thumb under your chin, you go forward, not like cannot. That still technically is right, but this is also just, it's almost like saying this is cannot, this is can't. See what I mean? So that kind of thing. Most of the time what you can do if you're saying like draw, like if you can't draw or I'm not drawing, you do that not. So draw not. Draw not. All right, and then there was one more. Why has it left me? I just said it. Get. There we go. Get. 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 It's like open fist. Like it's like you're actually grabbing it. Get. Get. Okay. So I've gone very fast and I apologize again, but trying to give you guys as many signs as possible. We now have 9 minutes. What we're gonna do is I'm not going to give you guys signs unless you ask me for it. So what I mean by that is I'm going to give you guys this opportunity to ask me for any signs that you guys would like to know. They don't have to be related to food or verbs that we did, I promise. You can just ask me now. You can ask me also if you have any questions about like deaf culture or any of that kind of information. And if no one has any questions, what we'll do is we can finish kind of early because I don't want to keep giving you guys more and more signs until 6:30. I feel like you guys have gotten a lot tonight. So cards. Okay. So yes. So the sign for cards is going to be your non-dominant is palm up. Dominant is in that open C and you go cards. Cards. This is also for like greeting cards, like if you're making a birthday card, or if you are playing cards, like playing card games, cards. Card games. Yeah, exactly. Okay, wait, I'm sorry, I lied. There's one sign I gotta add. He will need this one. If you ever talk about playing cards, play, the Y, play cards, play cards. There you go. So that way you can now, if you ever find a friend, you can be like, play cards. Want to play cards? That. Okay. Any other questions you guys have or can think of?
We had a funny story this week. We had a conversation about whether we were going to make chocolate chip cookies or church cookies because we remembered they were the same, but we couldn't remember which one was which. Church is the tap and chocolate's the slide, right? Okay.
Yes. I think of chocolate sauce. I don't know why. Like, I just think about like you just spread chocolate sauce, or like when you're melting chocolates, you're
Like
spreading it.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just makes more sense to that's how I do it. But like that was the hardest thing for me to learn too. I promise. I did the same thing. I kept going, ooh, I want chocolate, but I'm not trying to say I want church. And I was like, how do I do this? And like I would look so confused. And I finally would take a guess and I would be like, church, I want church. And they look at me and they're like, chocolate? I'm like, yeah. So it's so easy. That's why I always tell people that together, is because it's so common. And I think it's kind of a funny story, you know? So I'm so glad that I'm like, I love when people are like, I have that same experience. I'm like, yeah, it's easy to do.
We did.
Are there any other questions? Oh, she's typing. I'm just gonna be teasing you because whenever I can see their hands, I'm so visual now with that. Because like I had taught Zoom. My first year teaching was through Zoom. So I had it all through it. And I learned really fast when I saw a kid moving to try to type or talk. They would do that motion and I would look and I go, stop it. And they'd look at me like, how do you even know? Like my hands, I'm like, I can see it. Stop. So anyways, the sign for drive is what you would think, drive. It's also the sign for car. So it's both. Drive, car. Yep. Oh yeah. So, but yeah, I always love when I can see people's hands type and I'm like, oh, and I'll like even sit there like looking around and I'll just see the movement out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, okay, someone's got a question or someone's wants a sign. And that means I automatically look to my chat box. So any other questions or signs you guys can think of? I'm trying to think of something that'll be not, I'm thinking of if I'm going to say a story, it's not long because I'm not going to keep you guys here for 20 years because I can do that. I can talk on and on. I know it. But let's see. Well, I will say one cool thing about learning the sign for like ketchup is that one of my friends, who's also another coworker of mine, she is deaf and she's from Tennessee. And she and I were talking like, because we started working the same year. So we were both new at the same time and it was our first year teaching and everything. So we really bonded. And when we were in the cafeteria, we were sitting there and the kids kept doing this to me and I had no idea what they were saying because I just learned to fingerspell ketchup or ketchup, like you patting it. That one, don't see it really now, but that was it. And so seeing the kids kept coming up and going like they want more ketchup. And I was like, fruit? Sure, yeah, go get fruit. And then I watched them go to the line and just grab ketchup. And I was like, no, you asked me for fruit. There's what? And I was struggled so much with it. And I asked my coworker, I was like, hey, what is the sign for ketchup? And she's like, well, I use ketchup. And then she's like, I've learned that's not what they use here. They use ketchup. So we both didn't know. We both didn't realize that that's what they had used. But it was kind of funny because I was so like, is it me? Am I not understanding this? And then when she said it, I was like, okay, I actually feel better. Even though, yeah, you have it more, it makes more sense because you're from Tennessee. But I was like, that makes me feel better that I was not the only one who was just not catching on to ketchup. So yeah, that happens a lot with me when I was like my first year teaching because my kids would just sign things that I'd learned before and I haven't seen it lately, or it's a completely new sign. And I'd sit there like staring at them with this face every time, trying to figure it out. And sometimes they'd look at me and they're like, never mind, we're good. I'll just go sit down because they think I'm mad. And I'm like, no, that's my brain sitting here trying to open up. Which is that sign? What is that word? And yeah, so it happens even to me still, you know, and I've been using ASL for about 6 or 7, maybe 8 years now. So, you know, it still happens. But yeah, that was always a little fun. I remember, I was like, wow, that's a great teacher moment for me. So, yeah. All righty. Well, if you guys, I'm sorry, I know I keep messing with my hair. I had it in this bun and now it's kind of coming apart and I can see the hair. and I get distracted by myself. But anyways, what I was gonna say is that if nobody else has any other questions or any kind of thing, that little tidbit they want to say, we can go ahead and close for the night. Especially because I know I gave you guys a lot. I'm sure you're having to sit there going, I'm really hungry now. I need to eat. So we will just kind of close for now. I will see you guys all next week. Next week's class, we are going to be doing, here is it? Animals. That one's a fun one. So that one's also, I'm going to warn you now, that one can also be kind of heavy with a lot of words. So just bear with me. Like I said, we've always record these videos before, so that way you guys have the opportunity to come back and practice them again. So with that being said, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of y'all's week, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.